All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon, and in this video, we're going to be in the 35-pound division, 140-pound division, where Bermard Hopkins gives his opinion on the fight between Gervonta Davis and Devin Haney, and gives a very, very shocking to Devin Haney fans analysis of it, and says that it is Gervonta Davis for reasons that people act as if is not true. Let's talk about that in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon, and in this video, we're going to be in the 140-pound division, and we're going to be talking about Devin Haney and Gervonta Davis and Bermard Hopkins' take on who the better fighter is, who the more accomplished fighter is, and he sets some truth into common sense out there into the world, which honestly, man, kind of sometime with Bermard Hopkins. Nah, just joking. I like Bermard Hopkins a lot. If you don't know who he is, you don't pay attention to boxing. One of the greatest lightweight, middleweights in the history of boxing. One of the top few fighters of this century. Absolutely spectacular in the ring, and proves that it ain't about how young you do things. It's about you doing things. Now, he gives his insight on Gervonta Davis and Devin Haney when he's asked who the better fighter is, and is has questions trying to lead him into saying some things about the Devin Haney versus Gervonta Davis fight that he says, "No, man, I ain't trying to hear it." But before I get into that, let me welcome you back to the channel. If you are new to the channel, please accept my invitation to hit the subscribe button, hit the bell icon so you can be notified of when we release more videos. And if you're a longtime subscriber and supporter, you know the deal. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Also, thank you to everybody that supports the channel in the super chats and in the cash apps of the live streams. The super chats in these videos are very important to the channel, so thank each and every one of you guys that do that. But let's get into this. All right, man, we talk about the fight. A lot of fights taking place and who's ducking who and who's done what is in their career and this, that, and the other thing. But as far as it relates to Devin Haney and Gervonta Davis, this particular video is about the opinion of Bermard Hopkins, a Hall of Fame fighter, a former undisputed champion, the first, and people don't give people records for this, first undisputed fighter in the four-belt era, right? Now, is he the first undisputed ever? No. So if you're not going to say that Bermard Hopkins is the first undisputed champion ever, then we shouldn't be running around talking about who the youngest undisputed champion is ever, just because you're the youngest in the four-belt era. And Bermard Hopkins is the only fighter ever to be an undisputed fighter in the three-belt era and an undisputed fighter in the four-belt era, and the first ever in the first four-belt era, and the last ever in the three-belt era. He must be the greatest fighter of all time. That's the logic in it, right? But I say all that to say what Bermard Hopkins says when asked the question, who's better, Gervonta or Devin? Who do you have? And he looks very fast at Sean Vitale, because I can recognize Sean Vitale's voice from Fight Hype. Looks at him like, head looks back like, are you serious? He says Gervonta. And then he's asked, well, why would you say that? He says, because he's beaten better fighters. What? He's beaten better fighters? What do you mean he's beaten better fighters? He said, look, I could be wrong, but I know I'm not because I did my research. Gervonta Davis has beaten better fighters than Devin Haney has. If you look at the last 10 fights, let's look at the last 10 fights. Go look at them. Gervonta Davis has fought better fighters. Now, that is an anathema to Devin Haney fans who claim that Devin Haney is the one that fights all the top competition. Is it true, though? Well, let's just walk backwards for a few fighters. You have, and this is Bernard Hopkins' opinion, the last fighter that Devin Haney fought was Ryan Garcia. What Gervonta Davis fought was Ryan Garcia. Ryan Garcia was an undefeated fighter, knockout fighter, top amateur who had beaten guys like Luke Campbell and beaten guys like Javier Fortuna, both by knockout. That is a tough, very, very dangerous fighter. Devin Haney fought Regis Prograis, also a tough fighter. Devin Haney before that fought Lomachenko, a tough fighter, coming older, tough fighter, good win. Gervonta Davis had fought Hector Garcia, another tough fighter, an Olympic gold medalist, a 130-pound reigning champion who's bigger and longer than Gervonta Davis. Before that, you had 2 fights with George Kambosos. That's the same person. You don't get to count him twice. George Kambosos, yeah. Okay, go back and who did he fight? Who did Gervonta fight before? Rolly Romero, a guy that is now a champion at the WBA champion at 140. But people could say, yeah, but is he a world champion? Yes, he is, just like George Kambosos. Go back before that. Who do you have? You have Isaac Cruz. Isaac Cruz is one of the top lightweights in the world. Who do you go back before? George Kambosos, it drops off the map for Devin. Because then you're dealing with Jojo Diaz. You're dealing with Yuriokis Gamboa. You're looking to Abdullayev. That's it. You also have to go back for Gervonta Davis to 2 other fighters named Leo Santa Cruz and name Jose Pedraza, and former champions, a former champion Fonseca and Cuellar. Those guys, you start going down before that, and clearly before that, Gervonta Davis's record has fought better competition. Oh, also, let's not forget the 140-pound fighter, Mario Barrios. Those are better fighters in total than Devin Haney has, according to Bernard Hopkins. Bernard Hopkins also says it very clearly, that he's not impressed with how many belts you have. He's like, it doesn't matter how many belts you have. When people start saying, well, he's undisputed champion. Yeah, but he got all those belts against one guy. You're an undisputed champion. Who did you beat to get the guys to get undisputed, right? Who was it? Not all undisputed guys are built the same. If Devin Haney had beaten Gervonta Davis, Shakur Stevenson, Vasily Lomachenko, and Teofimo Lopez to get those belts, that is not the same thing as somebody that beat Julius Ndungo, Victor Postal, what's my man's name? Felix Diaz and Thomas Delorme, right? For those, right? It's just not the same thing, because not all fighters are created equal, but people act as if once you get the belt, that means that you are a top fighter. That's not what George Kambosos is. So that is just a very interesting take on it. And he says also, the proof is in the pudding with the financials, because if you are fighting the people that people want to see you fight, they'll be buying the fight. But anyway, that's my take. Please let me know what you think in the comment section. And with that, I'm out. Deuces.